Hey, Larkin and Amanda here, and we are happy to announce that at long last, the official premiere of the Jones Plantation is happening in LA. Now, you might be wondering what makes something an official premiere? We have no idea. It's just if you say it is, then it is. But we're getting all hoity-toity for this red carpet and limos and silliness like that. And I'm sure we'll lose money on it. But you can be there. And
Anyone can be there, right? This is like public.
Yeah, we gotta pay.
Yeah.
But then I believe we're also,
there.
I think we're also doing a luncheon thing the next day. So I don't even have details of that. But we do have a way for you to get tickets to the actual showing. I think it's in a relatively small theater, so it's probably going to sell out pretty quickly. And it is January 20th. Again, in Los Angeles. Below we'll have the link, and it shows you exactly where, and it shows you how to get tickets. Now, I'm also going to mention that on December 16th, which is like less than 2 weeks from right now, I will be at, she won't be there. I'll be at a screening that some people I know are putting on in Pennsylvania, in Oaks, Pennsylvania, like suburbs of Philadelphia. So we will put the link below if you want to go to that one too. Yeehaw. That'll be fun. I'm not even organizing it. Somebody else organized the whole thing, which is awesome when somebody does that. But I will be there, and we'll be doing a Q&A afterwards and having a chat, and I think hanging out somewhere afterwards with whatever extremists and weirdos show up.
I just have to say, guys, I'm super excited about this. This is, yeah, we've had some other screenings, but this is considered like the big one, and it's, I know that a lot of people in the community, like a lot of voluntarists, live kind of in a localized place in the West where local to California enough that like they can get there to the premiere. And I know lots of us have to like hold our nose crossing the border into California and tolerating it, but it's for this. And one of the coolest things is like it's gonna be like that like niche of the cool people, like anarchists and voluntarists, whatever, us types, all in one place about something that's really cool and seeing people react to it. And then Larkin pointed out that one of the great things about this movie is it's a conversation starter all by itself. You don't have to prep anyone. You can just say, do you want to see a cool movie? And it's actually better that if your friends are like not people that are like into thinking about this sort of thing, or they're not necessarily identifying as a voluntarist or anything, and maybe they're left or right politically leaning, it's even better if you just say, hey, do you want to see a movie? And don't tell them anything about it, because it's such a great icebreaker all by itself.
Yeah, and as I'm sure all of you voluntarists out there can relate to this, it's very easy to try to talk to somebody about something that you think is important and is fundamentally different from the way they see the world, and it very quickly becomes obvious that either they don't want to hear it, they don't want to be lectured at, or they get defensive and it turns into an argument and yada yada yada. How fun is that? The fact the one of the first things that occurred to me when Andrew, the director, had the idea to make this into a movie is how much potential there is for it to get normal people to think without them feeling at all attacked. Because it's not attacking them, but it is showing them a reality and showing sort of behind closed doors what's actually going on with control freaks, so that they can start to think about that and go, how much is this really happening in the real world, without somebody saying, hey, guess what? Your whole view of, politics and morality is completely screwed up and you're an idiot. Which isn't the best way to approach it. But telling them a fictional story where they start to wonder what things they've been falling for, I think has way more potential to start that discussion. And if you're an anarchist or voluntarist, you probably know how hard it is to start the discussion, like get to a point where you're actually having a calm, rational back and forth with somebody. And that's, to me, that's like most of the battle, is getting it to the point they can actually talk about these things and consider it. And I think this, the reason I was so thrilled to make this movie as soon as Andrew had the idea and told me about it, is I think it's a great way to start people down the road thinking about it in a way that they're not being attacked, they're being entertained and maybe slightly creeped out by the movie, and then they can think about it and have it rattle around inside their head.
Yep.
So now, Of course, not everybody's going to be at the LA screening or the Pennsylvania one. We will soon have a DVD, but you can also invite people over and show the movie, online yourself. But I think it's important that the people who already are sort of on board with these concepts and ideas watch carefully. We need to study human psychology, because if we don't understand why other people are clinging to their belief system and why they believe it to begin with, we're going to do a crappy job of trying to get them to hear a different idea. And I think this is one of those things that's a great, for us, it sounds a little bit elitist, but it's sort of a study tool to watch how people respond to the movie. And we've already gotten some examples of that, which has been pretty cool. Seeing how normal people, they added up and was like, hey, that's like this. And seeing how it triggers their brain into the discovery curiosity mode instead of stop preaching at me mode, which never goes well anyway.
By the way, just to point this out, he doesn't mean normal to denigrate people. He means normal as in they're not particularly weird in that they like to obsess or think about unusual things. And there are often people that like to think about unusual things that trend towards going down rabbit holes and then ending up being like a voluntarist or anarchist like us. And so if you're just not that sort of person, and you just never consider these things, doesn't mean you're an idiot. Like, you can just be a statist because by default you are in the box.
Like
but if you can think outside that box without having a trigger that says, chaos and mayhem, then voila. And because we've watched the fruits of our labor over the course of, me 8 or 9 years, you 25, 26 years, whatever.
27.
Seeing this, what was like no anarchists grow to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of anarchists, so much so that we're able to network and build communities now and do things together. That's one of the reasons why I think for us it's more of a casual thing that we realize this isn't like we don't see it as like this big mountain to climb of like, wow, we have to like convince a bunch of like stupid people that like the obvious is obvious, that we don't need rulers. And the truth is that a lot of people instinctively deep down might know that, and they have so much programming on top of that they haven't like really thought it through. And so because we now understand that under most statists is an inner voluntarist, this movie sort of helps guide them in that direction, but on their own, like giving them the autonomy where it doesn't feel like we're in the room as the conversation trying to tell them what to think. It's just we're trying to show them that what they think is like a modality by which they can change the world isn't that. It's a rigged game that they should totally step outside of because it has nothing to do with good. It can't do good. And so a lot of people, like say in the community, like voluntarists, have been disheartened recently because what they see as like the most obvious that authority and government has ever overstepped its boundaries in the last 3 years, they feel like that's obvious. They see that so many people still turn to like, well, we just got to get the right guy on the throne in power in America and the right people in Congress, and then it'll all be fine. Yeah. And they still think that that's the way. And I see a lot of people in the community discouraged by that. And it's just because they don't really get that it's as simple as they haven't really ever stepped outside that box. They really don't. It's not like they're really dumb. It's just they're grasping. They know it's messed up. They're just like, but what else is there if this? We have to try that much harder to get the right people in. No. And so that's why I think this movie's so powerful, because this movie doesn't preach. It just sort of goes, this is what this is. And then they can look at it for themselves and decide. They can go, wait, is that something I can participate in and do any good in? Or is this like built to fail?
And I'll end with the thing I've said before. My goal is not to get it so we have a world full of people that like to obsess about political philosophy. Like you and I and people listening, it might like that stuff. My goal is to get to a point where it doesn't stinking matter. Like all the people out there who aren't paying attention to politics because they just want to live their lives. Good. I want them to be able to live their lives without the monster of politics interfering in their lives. So that's the actual goal. So the fact that they don't obsess about these things and think about these things, that doesn't make them stupid and it doesn't make them bad people. I want them to never have to obsess about it again because the giant monstrosity is gone. Unfortunately, between now and then, they do have to start questioning things and rethinking some things. And I think this movie is one of the most awesome ways to start that conversation with lots of people. So feel free to try it on everybody you know and see how they respond and see what fun conversations come out of it. January 20th, the LA screening, the official premiere. We will be there. Director will be there. Mr. Jones will be there. I can't remember how much of the cast is going to be there. And then before that, December 16th, there's a Pennsylvania screening that I'll be at. So links will be below for getting tickets for either one of them. And if you're not going to either one of them, you can still buy the movie online, jonesplantationfilm.com, and show it to all the people you know and see what it does to their brain. Yeehaw.
Yeah.